Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore Podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined as always by my good buddies Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
These gents debate and deliberate the most ubiquitous aspects of a variety of topics. And this time around, we're doing the Mount Rushmore of epic comeuppance. There have been some items in the news lately about persons or entities that have had their petards
Hoisted upon them.
Yeah, they have been hoisted upon said petards. All political stuff aside, because we never delve into our political opinions here on Rushmore. It's fucking awesome to see.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll start a trend. But I thought it'd be fun to discuss this and maybe celebrate this, and maybe the gentlemen think the same. So why don't we just jump into it? Who wants to go first? Michael?
I would love to go first.
Okay.
I love this category, by the way. I love, as soon as I finally read the things that you wrote to me versus ignoring them for 2.5 weeks. I was like, yeah, this would be great. Oh, awesome. But comeuppance, what a great feeling to see someone, just get theirs.
The karma wheel kind of comes.
Just love it. And
around,
my first choice, Richard, I hope it, if not on your list, I hope you appreciate it. 2014, Brazil, host country.
Oh, that's a good one.
Of the World Cup, getting throttled 7-1 by Germany in the semifinal matches. Just, if there was only a German word for enjoying someone's...
if only the Germans.
If only the Germans could have a very specific thing. Well, maybe there's a Portuguese version of Schadenfreude, but boy, what's amazing about it is, like, Brazil has been, I mean, not that Germany hasn't been like a soccer powerhouse too in their own way over many decades, but like Brazil just in particular, just like very arrogant in their soccer Brazilianness. They trot out Blanca onto the field and he electrifies everybody. And then I think
Pele comes out to sell his Crestfield wax paper.
But just for them to get beaten so handedly and so quickly. I was reading that they scored 5 goals on him in like the first 6 minutes of play. And can you imagine to have this entire country just get defeated by one other country in a non-violent way is just amazing to me. And to have it done in their own face, in their own home. Yeah.
What's interesting is the amount to which the extent to which big global sporting events are kind of our new wars. Like a way that one country will show its might against another. And so to have that happen, it almost seems like a battle has been won. Do you feel like anybody ever thinks they deserve it? Does anybody? I remember there was once during a kickball game that our team was kind of trouncing another, and we were getting to the point of kind of arrogance.
Sure.
And they should have mercy ruled and should have this, should have that. And at one point, the opposing team's coach said something like, "That's enough. That's enough." And then I remember turning to another player and going, "Yeah, we were dicks. We should have."
There was always a feeling of, how do you play this game where you're clearly better than the other team, but you don't want to feel like you're pandering is a good word, because they're giving your best effort. You want your players to give their best effort, but then there's at some point when you just decide to change the strategy a little bit. Don't try to kick the ball hard. That might create more outs, but that doesn't mean that you're not trying to get on base or trying to do these things. And there was never a good solution.
Yeah.
There was never something that was this is the way to go about it, because you ultimately would have someone on your own team who just wouldn't listen to anything that you'd suggest anyway, and then they'd be a dick, and you'd be like,
I
Yeah.
"Oh, God damn
said
it!"
I'm sorry, Michael.
Yes.
Well, to that end, I guess I wonders. I like my justice served in a way in which the person maybe has a moment of realization in which their
Mm.
hubris has. The petard has been they have been hoisted, but I think most people really always believe themselves to be the underdog. Brazil still thinks it's the underdog, the victim. Maybe not. I don't know.
They
Richard, what do
also
you?
lost 3-0 to the Netherlands in the third place game afterwards. So
Oh,
it just got
geez.
heaped. It just got heaped on even more.
Wow. Wow. Manfredi, what do you got?
All right, my first choice is Baltimore Orioles slugger Rafael Palmeiro,
Okay.
who got 3,000 base hits, which is a giant baseball milestone, and was something like, I could look this up real quick, like the 14th player in baseball history or something like that to get 500 home runs. And actually, not even that. It was one of the, at the time, 5 players to get 3,000 hits and 500 home runs in his career. A surefire Hall of Famer, and then 10 days later tested positive for steroids.
No.
Oh, wow.
Which was only made it more satisfying for some, was when he was called up to Congress during the congressional hearings about steroids.
And couldn't fit through the door. Yeah.
His giant head got stuck. Yes. No, this happened earlier in the season before he before he got all the records and before he got suspended. This was back in March. He went to Congress and he's pointing his finger and let me start by telling you this. I have never used steroids, period. I don't know how to say it any more clearly than that. Never. And then like 6 months later, he's suspended for steroid use.
Wow.
And I could have selected any number of the steroid users, of the prominent steroid users in baseball of that era, whether it's your Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire in the same um, congressional hearing, repeating over and over, "I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to talk about the future." When asked if he had ever used steroids or anything to do with steroids, he just kept repeating that over and over and over again.
What did he think that was going to accomplish?
Well, somehow some lawyer had given him that phrase, obviously, and he was in his steroid-addled mind. I don't know what steroids do to your brain, but I don't think adding intelligence points to it is one of them. Somehow he managed to just get that stuck and just think, "Oh, say it again." Do, do, do,
Yeah.
do, do. But the Rafael Palmeiro one wound up becoming sort of the gold standard for Schadenfreude
Mhm.
during the steroids era, because he was just very much like, I never did steroids and I don't approve of people who do it. And then like 6 months later, 10 days after his crowning achievement as a player, bing, gets popped for it.
Does that, I mean, they take it away? They
Take away what?
that record or that
Well, he's still got the record, but he's
tarnished?
tarnished. He's only ever the most votes he ever received in the Hall of Fame balloting was 11%,
Oh.
which is not even near close enough to get into the Hall of Fame. And
Mhm.
he would have been an absolute surefire 100% first ballot Hall of Famer without the steroid allegations.
Wow.
So it basically ruined his reputation.
Uh-huh.
And I think that people remember it with a little bit of glee
Mhm.
because of the way he was so righteous and angry about denying, versus Mark McGwire, who was just trying to get out of there as quickly as possible. And later came back and admitted, yeah, I did take steroids. Rafael Palmeiro to this day still is very insistent that he never did steroids, and there must have been a tainted supplement that he took from one of his teammates. And it's just like, dude, you got caught.
Yeah.
Just own up to it. Everyone was doing 90% of baseball were doing steroids back in that era, the late 90s, early 2000s. Just admit it, own it, and move on with your life.
Yeah.
But he's
So you're
just
saying
not capable of doing that.
it wasn't the offense itself, it was the indignance when it was thinking two wrongs will make this right. And
I
my bluster. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where baseball fans kind of looked at him and went, "We're glad you're getting what you deserve."
Yeah. Yeah. What? Okay. Winfield, what's your second one?
My second choice is the ultimate comeuppance that Randolph and Mortimer Duke suffer at the hands of Billy Ray
Oh.
Valentine and Lewis Winthrop III in the movie Trading Places for their ridiculous frozen concentrated orange juice
Yeah.
scheme that I'm still not quite sure how it works. I don't know what I don't know what they were. They were like buying futures. This
Yeah.
is like I need you, Jeff, to explain it to me the same way that you like close your eyes and explain Bitcoin
Yeah.
and and crypto sometimes to me, because sometimes you go into like this fugue state where
Yeah.
you just know exactly. You've heard it in some ways. You've researched it enough. I
Yeah.
don't know what the scheme is. It's some seemingly like shorting the payment and buying it on futures,
Mhm.
and then they switched a report. A gorilla costume was involved, as well as some other kind of
I
racist
think
stuff.
Jamie Lee Curtis's boobs were involved at some point, which
Very much so.
which
Heavily
erased
involved. Yeah, heavy and heavily involved.
Um,
erased any of my understanding of
but
oranges. I understood oranges. Yeah.
yeah, what I love about the end scene of the movie is besides not understanding exactly what was going on, but there's like this moment where there's just like both sides are like have their arms crossed and they're like smugly smiling. The Duke
Mhm.
brothers are have this huge smile because they think they've got this report. They think they have the upper hand, and the other two ding dongs know that they don't, or they have a fake one, and
Yeah.
they're they're just like, we're ruined. Turn the machines back on. Ah. They're trying to
Turn
screw
on
these two
those
guys' life.
machines.
Yeah, turn on those machines. Get it back rolling. It's just great. The one guy falls down like clutching his heart, and he's like, "Get up!"
Yeah,
Ah,
pulls the full Fred Sanford.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it when somebody falls down during a comeuppance. Wait, think, that's not a come down. It's a comeuppance. Which you fell down. That's my favorite. It's my favorite. Okay, all right. So that's a non-sports and a non-real one. Okay, that's cool. I mean, and a fictional one. Yeah. What do you got, Richard, for your second one?
All right, all mine are real ones, by the way, because
Okay,
I
okay.
wish I would have thought
It's a real movie. Yeah, yeah,
it is a real movie, and I
yeah.
believe it's based on actual events.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
The
based off a true story.
the
So
great citrus shortage
of
1980.
1981.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, my second one is Bill Cosby.
Oh, wow.
When you put the pills in the thing, and then you do the thing. And I think the comeuppance factor here was that Bill Cosby held himself up. And he wasn't just a comedian. He wasn't just an actor. He was someone who held himself up as a moral shining light,
Yeah.
especially as he thought of himself as, I think, especially within the Black community, as someone who is speaking the
Mhm.
truth.
Mhm.
And I think for a lot of people, it felt like that he would talk down to them about, uh, you know, crime and the way the kids are today and the way kids should be acting, and just, you know, the whole package. And I think he even made a statement at some point, even talking about, kids wearing their clothes, their pants too low and having no manners, and they're all going to wind up in jail. Well, let's see who's the one who wound up in jail after all, Mr. Cosby.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was more than just just your standard fall from grace. I think the fact that he portrayed himself as this kind of uh, head of morality,
Mhm.
this sort of like a shining light for morality,
Mhm.
kind of made it so that whenever and all of that, the kind of sexual assault stuff had been talked about in the kind of hushed circles for a long time, but when it really came out publicly, I think it made a lot of people go, "Oh, look, a hypocrite.
Yeah.
He's not just a sexual assaulted, a rapist or, anything like that, he's a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, I hate to say it, that's just as bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think the person really rubbing their hands with glee was Bart Simpson,
Sure.
and he certainly won uh, the parental figure versus the
Yeah.
don't have a cowman, bad influence kid from. I recall that being such a heavily like, uh, you know, what this person is a shining example of a great family on their sitcom, and this person is a shining example of such a poor family, not financially, but just like a poorly run family with no family values, and one's outlasted the other. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think anyone who's involved with any sitcom that ran on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. on a network other than NBC during the 80s probably rubbed their hands with glee, because that's the bastard that got their show canceled after like 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, right? I mean, basically, you had no chance if you had a TV show that was going up against the Cosby Show. So I imagine that there are tons of ex-sitcom stars who just slept a little bit easier after all of this came out.
Who was it? I think Eddie Murphy was talking about Cosby, criticizing him because of his use of profanity,
Mm-hmm.
and Murphy Cosby was Murphy's hero, or Pryor was too, but I think like a hero of his. And so to have that kind of critique, and then to see that this person is clearly not beyond reproach, in that case also it's kind of a really not bittersweet, but for many people, the the for I think I've heard in regards to that discussion, like what do we do with these monsters who become our Supreme Court justices or presidents or
Right.
film studio heads or Oscar winners or uh, heads, theological leaders and things like that. And what do we do with the light that they shined so brightly that guided so many people? Then we realize how fractured that light was, and how now whatever guidance we've gotten seems really kind of uh, sullied by that. Cosby was such a accepted so broadly in white America across color lines and things like that from a representation standpoint, there's so many people who looked up to him as somebody who can cut through the conversation of race and cut through all these, cross so many barriers. Let's talk about crossing over. And then to have him fall so hard and then get acquitted, he's not in jail anymore, is he?
No, but he did have to spend enough time in jail that I
Yeah.
at least can feel like some small level, if not an
Yeah.
appropriate level of justice, was served.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, halftime is served.
Oh,
And
it's a dish best served cold, I believe.
okay. All right. Here's some freezing cold halftime for you. And cold, nothing's cold out on the Mount Rushmore podcast.com website. There's so many
We got our hot takes. Yeah.
hot takes. Hot takes, spam cakes out there. Go out there to. There's no way you can catch any kind of virus from the Mount Rushmore podcast site.
We're catching all the viruses.
We're catching
for
all
you.
of them for you and containing them within our URL. Download.
It's like a Ghostbusters containment unit for spam.
Yeah, it totally is. Don't cross the streams, and don't miss out on all of you can go seek out and get. But then also go to podcast listener thingy of your choice and download review past episodes. We would love it. Even if you were to if you became so inspired to think of a topic, to submit that topic to us, because we would love to hear your suggestions. Past submittors, suggestors have become recording people, guests on the podcast, and it was a lot of fun. So we'd love to get you on this podcast too. You don't have to, but it'd be fun. And Winfield's going to let us know his third one.
I got 3 words for you. Big bad wolf. Now let me tell you about this guy. This guy just goes around eating whoever he wants, whenever he wants, at any time. He doesn't care what kind of house you live in.
Nope.
I don't know, Jeff. You moved into a house recently.
Straw.
It's your house made out of straw. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
You
got
started
bad news. I got bad news for you. Either
I hear puffing, but is there huffing? Do I also hear huffing? I know. There's a airplane glue addict around here somewhere.
I love the story of the big bad wolf. It's one of the strange ones that my son also has such an affinity towards. He loves it in all forms, whether it's a merry melodies or silly symphonies version, or if it's like I don't know. There's some really creepy versions of the big bad wolf and the 3 little pigs, where this wolf gets absolutely demolished at the end in some of these. You know, sometimes he goes down a chimney and he burns his bottom and he runs away yelping and scraping his ass along the ground. It's fun. Sometimes he goes into like a boiling pot of turpentine and he gets boiled alive and eaten by the pig at the end.
Wow.
Either way, this wolf had it coming the entire time, knocking people's houses down, made out of sticks, made out of straw. Good riddance.
Do you feel like it's the same wolf in Little Red Riding Hood? Like it's the same guy?
Well,
no, he got hacked open by a huntsman.
Yeah, and then they pulled the grandma out sometimes.
The woodsman, yeah.
The woodsman,
yeah.
No, I bet they know each other though. I bet that they're like fine with like swapping names.
Yeah,
it's like on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I'll be the one that goes after the pig, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you go after Grandma in Little Red Riding Hood, and then Sunday we're gonna rest.
Yeah,
it's the Lord's Day.
Or they
Very
fill
religious.
In for each other they fill in for each other on like day when another one needs like a vacation day.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of PTO.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the wolf calendar is,
Were the pigs assholes though? Like, didn't the pigs kind of like sing and dance and say, "Who's afraid? Who cares?" Like,
in some versions, yes. There was a neglect of their duties to build a proper house, or to build one to make one sturdy enough. Definitely, there is a morality involved of doing something the right way, and if you don't, the big bad wolf is going to come get you. But I don't know if they were necessarily inviting it. Sure. Hey, I mean, who are we to say what one should make their house out of?
Yeah.
Maybe, if you're living in a dangerous environment, maybe build a little bit stronger next time. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, I'm really hedging my big bad wolf. Maybe he wasn't all right to eat a couple of pigs.
Like you haven't eaten some pigs in your day, Michael.
It's true.
I've seen you eat pepperoni pizza.
But I haven't knocked down their house to get to them.
Yeah. I feel like his thing was he just assumed he, like the hare from The Tortoise and the Hare, he assumed, I got this. I can use my natural abilities to huff and puff and blow the house down. I'm not even going to worry about it. But he was wrong. He had to do more. Yeah. All right, Manfredi.
Speaking of huffing and puffing, Jim Baker.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker fame.
Yeah.
Disgraced televangelist, because could there be any other kind?
There's very few graced televangelists.
It's Billy Graham, and that's about it.
That God comes down and goes, "He's right. I said that. Give him your money. He gives it to me."
So Jim Baker, for those of you too young to remember, was the head of the PTL, Praise the Lord Club, which would run on TV stations throughout the country, and was essentially a Ponzi scheme. It was a way for Jim Baker himself to make money by taking in donations. I don't believe he was one of the. I don't believe that at any point he ever said he was going to be called home if he
Mm.
didn't receive a certain amount of cash. I think that was Oral Roberts, if I
Oh wow.
remember correctly. But Jim Bakker, it was like a nightly talk show that was all focused around, in theory, Christianity and religion. But more importantly, it was focused around Jim and Tammy Faye Baker and trying to get as much money from your grandmother as
Yeah.
possible. Eventually, he was accused of sexual misconduct by a church secretary. Um, and then that led to allegations of misuse of ministry funds. And he wound up serving 5 years in jail for that. The last time he's now back into the public light. He has attempted to restart his TV televangelism career. He has been promoting that the end days are coming,
Uh,
and that when the end days come, you'll need to make sure that you're prepared for it. So he's got all of the survivalist, like food, MREs,
Oh
supplies
no.
that he's been selling to his audience.
these guys are just
It's like so this is an example of someone who got his comeuppance and just didn't learn the lesson.
yeah.
He got in trouble a couple of years ago for selling colloid silver supplements as a cure for COVID, and wound
Jeez.
up getting sued by various attorneys general in different states for that. So it's just the guy doesn't get it. You think if anyone would have learned his lesson, it would be Jim Bakker.
Mhm.
Tammy Faye Baker appeared to have learned her lesson, or at least publicly did, and became this beloved gay icon somehow in a way that I'm still not 100% sure how that actually happened. But Jim Bakker learned no lessons, changed none of his MO, and is just back doing the same shit that he did before.
True American.
Wow.
God bless America.
Do you think okay, so I feel like people like a comeback. They like
Hmm.
to see somebody like Martha Stewart, um, insider trading, and also, you know, this im, unapproachable icon of perfection, and there
Right.
was, I think, not that that was a crime to sell that idea to the world, but it just seemed like she deserved it. Her fall seemed like a little bit of a comeuppance, I think.
I
Um,
think it did to some extent. Here's where I will differ with you on this.
okay.
I feel like that Martha Stewart, around the time when the insider trading thing happened, people were really already starting to get sick of her shit,
Yeah.
the perfectionist thing. And it's almost like being convicted of insider trading and having to go to a minimum security prison wound up making her seem less perfect.
Oh, it's interesting.
Hmm.
You mean
So
and more likable, maybe?
and maybe more likable. The other prong of this was, of course, her friendship with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think you combine the two of them, and suddenly she's not this kind of prim, perfect figure on television and magazines. She seems more like a normal person, has foibles and makes mistakes and
Hmm.
goes to jail just like your Uncle Jimmy did. You know,
Yeah. Well, wait.
not your Uncle
Jimmy
Jimmy. I
Stewart.
mean, a generic Uncle Jimmy.
Oh, I think you said Jimmy Stewart went to jail. I
Oh,
was
Uncle
like,
Jimmy.
that
Oh,
was
you don't.
only
That's the
in the
last one on my list of comeuppance. By the way, I should get into that. It's my
that
number
was
4, Jimmy
that was
Stewart.
in my "It's a Wonderful Life" fan fiction where Mr. Potter is you're gonna
hauled
go to
off.
jail.
Hauled off. The townspeople don't actually raise enough money, and he's hauled off in chains at the end of the movie.
That's hilarious. Uh, okay. Winfield, what's the last one? And are you arrogantly going to predict that you are going to win this, Michael Winfield? Is that what you're saying? That you think?
I stand here on Mount Pius, looking down upon
Oh
all the
boy.
little people.
I think it's going to be a big comeuppance here.
Uh, uh-oh.
You?
Um, I have another fictional one because I don't know. My head was I wasn't thinking of real world comeuppances. I didn't want to think about the the real horrible people that do these things, like the Alex Joneses, as you mentioned.
Leave that to me. Is what
Yeah,
you're thinking. Yeah,
let Richard swim
that's my wheelhouse.
in that
Sure.
in that drivel. Uh, my final choice is the constant repetition of comeuppances that happen to Mr. Biff Tannen throughout the
Oh,
Back
wow.
to the Future
Oh,
series of
fun.
movies, where it doesn't matter what what life he lives, what age of the world he lives in. At some point, he's gonna get his.
Yeah.
He's the biggest, awfulest bully. He gets it from a scrawny little um, not Marty McFly. Who's the other one?
George.
George McFly. Thank you. He gets it from George. He gets it from Marty. He gets it from Marty again. Just in any time, no matter how old.
Descendants get it from Marty.
And it's great because in each version of him, he's like even more disgusting. Like at first, he starts out like your average bully, just this big kind of strong galoot who gets beat up by the kind of wimpy sci-fi nerd. And as a wimpy sci-fi nerd, I love it. I can see myself in it. Then he turns into this Donald Trump-like character where he gains all this power and fame and glory, and he still gets taken out by some kid with a flying car, and then he gets turned into like this mid 1800s gunfighter who's just gross and disgusting, and even he gets covered in horseshit. And like each time, it's just chef's kiss. More and more beautiful to see like this guy who has this inkling of power, and it's like it's this bully power. That's I think the bully is such a easily root againstable type person. Nobody likes the bully except the bully, and maybe even the only people that pretend to like the bully are like the bully's toadies, and even they will quickly abandon that person at a moment's notice and probably revel in their own comeuppance. But I don't know. I think he, as a character going through time or existing in different times and always having like this similar kind of horrible archetype of being this bully that gets his, is just it's just great.
Yeah, that's fun to think it's almost Sisyphean, or it's his fate is to continually, like there's nothing he could do to alter that fate. It's all pre-written and inevitable. That's a fun choice. I have to say that due to somebody I did not like loving the Back to the Future franchise, I kind of turned away from it. And so I have to. It's not the movie's fault. So I got to revisit those. And that's funny. That actor too. I forget the actor.
Tom Wilson. Thomas Wilson.
Yeah, he's not Shakespeare. I mean, wait, Shakespeare's a writer, not. Well, I guess he was an actor. He's not like Jeremy Irons, but he played that part pretty pretty well.
And by all accounts, a super guy, as most people who play villains are.
Oh yeah, decent dude. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, Richard Manfredi, what's the final?
All right, so you mentioned Alex Jones.
Yeah,
and I think you mentioned him at the start. I know that his name came up when we were first discussing doing this topic as kind of a raison d'etre to be doing this in the first place. So I take a nap this afternoon after getting back from a trip to the Long Beach Aquarium. And as I'm getting ready, literally as I'm like talking to my wife about the topics that we're doing for this week and my choices, and we get to the Mount Rushmore of Comeuppance, her immediate thought was, she immediately bursts out with, "Oh, you mean like Trump's Mar-a-Lago getting raided today?"
What?
And I went, "What? Excuse me?" And so I haven't had a lot of time to digest this. But yes, as we are recording this on Tuesday or on Monday, Monday, August 8th.
You'll get there.
I will eventually get there. As we are recording this on Monday, August 8th, 2022. It's within a few hours of ago. Yes, Trump has had Mar-a-Lago raided, has had his safe gone through and rifled through looking for possible secure documents that should have been kept somewhere other than his safe in Mar-a-Lago. And I'm just fascinated by we are currently in the comeuppance of Donald Trump. And I hope it doesn't stop for a long, long time.
We've been promised that for like
I know.
3 years.
I know, but it feels like it's actually like happening. Like today made me feel like, oh, they're actually serving warrants and they're actually raiding his estate. They're actually serious about this. There's someone out there who might actually do something.
Yeah. I just, that would be such a delight. That would be such a delight. And then I always wonder, would that mean just, would it be weaponized martyrdom for him? Would somehow, or is there underwear so dirty that could be shown to his followers that they would even blanch at? Like, who? These people have excused the most horrid behavior from this person.
Yeah.
What could ever be revealed?
The one thing that I read earlier, the only way really to stop it is if he is convicted of removing these like top secret documents. One of the fines or one of the punishments is they can't hold public office again. And I think ultimately that's what you're looking forward to. You're looking for, like, he's going to continue, like hucksters, he's going to continue to bilk stupid people out of their money. And he may still stay rich doing it and still maintain some aspect of political power in that realm until he can't be in office anymore, like till it's the penalty, if it is ever applied, but who knows, that he removed these documents. um, that's part of the legal code that this person couldn't run for or hold any public office, which
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate thing to hope for. Is all this other stuff, he can go back to being a super gross C-list celebrity who lives in a weird place in Florida and
Are you
sees
talking
great
about Jeff
things.
or Trump?
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
I'm listening. I know I don't.
But I think that's the ultimate hope. But I feel very similar to you, Jeff. I remember a bunch of years ago when Trump was first in office and he fired James Comey, and I thought, oh, this is the end. He's been in
Oh, yeah.
office for 3 months and this investigation is gone, and he fired, and then nothing happened. And then every time it feels like this guy just slips through the fingers of law and common sense and whatever. And, not that he got pretty close to winning, so to speak, a couple of years ago now.
Sure.
It wasn't like a landslide. It wasn't like 70% of Americans rejected him. It was like 53% to 47%. I mean, it's a 6% difference, but it's still pretty close. And I don't know. I hate to be a naysayer, but I'm vibing with you, Jeff. Like, it feels really cool.
Yeah.
Man, I love watching this movie.
Yeah.
But I want to see it to the end and not just like walk out before, I see the leprechaun pogo stick the guy to death.
I've realized in the process of this conversation that this puts me in an awkward situation where I'm wishing for the continued good health of Donald Trump. Because I want to see him live long enough to get his comeuppance. Like, the last thing I want is for him to die and then everyone to go, oh, well, he's dead. Forget it. We don't need to continue looking into his finances and his handling of secure documents and all of this stuff. I want him to live a good long time so all of these investigations can reach their conclusion.
Yeah. Like I don't know how this guy could have any more embarrassing stuff revealed, like anything that would, like, I just don't know how, but like, and I think what I realized is, unlike in the movies where you kill the lead vampire and all the other vampires die, that doesn't help. That doesn't happen with these people. DeSantis just grows stronger, when Trump dies or whatever. So yeah, it would just be, I
Like,
guess.
you keep waiting for like Trump head stuck in toilet zoo at toilet.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that could be good.
Yeah.
What else you got, And
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, cool. I guess what I think is interesting about it is my opinion on it. Whenever I see a meme of Josh Hawley running like a chicken and all the liberals go, ha 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 ha, that doesn't exist in Fox News land. They don't see that meme. They don't care. That doesn't hurt them. They don't. We see this, this kind of comeuppance somewhat, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't go over into their world. Sadly, that's depressing for me. Sorry, this became a very political topic, and I apologize.
Oh, mostly my fault. Mostly my fault.
Okay, yeah.
So blame me. So blame me.
Biff Tannen, right? Big Bad
Yeah.
Wolf. Yeah, all this political. Okay, well, let's do some picking. And I was educated about Brazil and Rafael Palmeiro. That was a sports thing, and I didn't see that coming from you guys, and I really appreciate being educated. The ones that felt kind of visceral to me are the Kaz, for sure, and the Trading Places brought back a lot of fun memories on that. So
that was a great one.
Those are the top 4.
Well done.
And boobies. Jamie Lee Curtis boobies. Okay. This has been the Mount Rushmore of Jamie Lee Curtis boobies. I'm, as always, Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.